Now what's going on?
So through the magic of television and video, this dish is essentially this dish 2.5 hours later. The meat's tender, the onions have reduced, the sauce is reduced a little bit. You would take peanut butter and literally just whisk some peanut butter into the broth to thicken. And this is kind of, it serves two purposes, flavor and to thicken. And that's what essentially the sauce that I have here is. I think in our culture, in the Philippines, we would typically serve this with cabbage, long beans, a little bit of eggplant that have all been cooked inside the sauce and then removed and then served on the side.
So is this one of your favorite dishes?
This is when we get together for Christmas, my aunt asks everybody, what are we having for Christmas? And they say, Dale, what are you going to make? And I said, and I'll always say, whatever you guys want me to make. And they say, make a beef dish. So I'll make a beef dish. That's not Filipino at all. But I always tell my aunt, can you please make your kuri-kuri? And I will just sit at Christmas dinner and eat this. Literally have 2 plates of this and be done. And this is like 2 plates in the beginning, and then you watch the football game, and then you come back for the rest, because that's
What do you think of
Christmas.
Seattle food? The food culture, the food scene in
Well,
Seattle?
as soon as I walked off the plane, I was like, there's a lot of Asian people in Seattle. It's like, dude, I've never been here before, and there's a ton of Asian people here. The food here must be good. We eat well, and I know this, because we do not stand for food that is not good.
I bet everybody in this room has a place they'd like to recommend for Dale, right? To go.
Let me know.
We all have our favorite places. So this is 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours later, and now we're kind of basically going to build a plate with the finished sauce, some of the finished meat as it's tender. So take some of this short rib, and obviously, I would have obviously loved oxtail, but it's, for a crowd like this, I thought that short rib would be a little bit more appropriate. And, the traditional accompaniment with this dish is just plain white rice, which is, I think, we all can appreciate. It's one of those things that when I first started cooking, the first restaurant I worked at was this was Vong Restaurant in Chicago, and it was this French Thai restaurant owned by John George Van Gerichten, who is a 3-star Michelin chef. He had just opened a restaurant in Chicago. And it was my first job out of culinary school, and I was 19 years old, and I said I was very proud of what I did, of working there. I had my parents come to eat there. And we were sitting at dinner, and our entrees came, and my mom, of course, asked, can we get a side of white rice? And my mom took one bite of the white rice, and she turned around to me, and she said, this is raw. And I was like, oh my God. Don't say anything. I turned around, my mom said, don't say anything. Mom, don't say anything. My boss, comes to the table and says, hey, Mrs. Talde, how is all the food? Your son's great. Whatever. He's a knucklehead, but we're going to work, we're going to get him to be a good cook. And my mom, the first thing that out of my mom's mouth was, do you know the rice is undercooked? And I was like, I buried my head. I didn't even look at my chef. And he said, is it really? He took the bowl, he ate it at the table, and was like, oh, you're right. He went back into the kitchen, and I could just hear him tearing into somebody, and I knew who it was. I was like, I know who made the rice, man. I'm so sorry, dude. I'm so sorry. And I was like, Mom, I hope you did say. She's like, well, it's raw. I don't want to eat rice that's undercooked. And I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. But that's who we are. Don't serve Filipinos undercooked rice, because you're going to hear about it. You are going to hear about it.
Or anybody else.
No, don't.
That's
and yeah,
right.
Don't serve Asians undercooked rice, because there is no meal.
It's just embarrassing. It's just wrong. It's just like, it's just not right.
No.
It's just not right.
No.
So you took what had been simmering and then you put it back in the pan.
Yeah.
Is that what you did?
And you could basically see the consistency of this sauce now. It's thickened up. There's a depth of flavor there. All the meat juices have kind of combined with the shrimp paste, the onions, the garlic, the peanut butter, obviously. We took some of the long beans, we blanched it inside here, and a little bit of bok choy instead of cabbage. Kind of give it a little bit of a newer presentation.
For those of you who have had a bite or two, it's good, isn't it? Yeah? So we can all go make this tomorrow.
I mean, it really is. It's
It's easy,
It's one of those crock pot dishes where you just cook it, put it in the crock pot, and you forget about it. So.
Could you do this in a crock pot?
Yeah, absolutely could.
Okay.
You absolutely could do it in a crock pot.
So I also noticed that you are using just a regular piece of silverware to do your sautéing. Did I get that right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So is there a reason why? Because
I mean, for a lot of professional chefs, there's a certain amount of finesse that comes with, I mean, when you start plating with a spoon like this, because if you equate it to, I guess, an artist, this is your pencil. Or if you could, someone who works with fabrics or something like that, this is your sketching. You almost hold, if you're gonna really plate something, especially in professional restaurants, I ask my cooks, hold your spoon like a pencil, because when you put food on a plate, you're drawing up this dish for people. You're drawing up this art for, what we've worked so hard to put on a plate. You're working for that. So that's why we use spoons. It shows a little bit of finesse.
when did you decide that you wanted to be a professional chef?
My mom, it's a funny story. I mean, it was one of those moments where my mom said, there's nothing to eat except fish head sinigang. And I was like, I'm not eating fish head sinigang today. But for you guys, it's fish head stew, basically. I said, I'm not eating this. And my mom said, well, if there's nothing else to eat and whatever you want to eat, you have to make. And I said, well, I want apple pancakes for dinner. And she said, well, then you have to make it. So I said, how hard could that be? So I got the box and I made some apple pancakes and I ate and I said, this isn't that bad. This isn't that hard. I can do this. And it kind of, that moment, it kind of clicked for me that, like I really, I mean, one of my mentors, and Martin Yan, is what, I mean, I don't know him.
Martin did our first year here at Culinary Journey. Who was here? Yeah.
I don't know him personally, but he's definitely one of those people who I watched as a kid and said, this is who I aspire to be. His food looked so delicious, so good all the time.
How old were you when the apple pancake episode
I was
happened?
I was 9 years old. And my mom's like, that never happened. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it did. She's like, no, it didn't. You always ate what I made for you. I don't know if it's the truth, Mom.
Is that what you made her for Mother's Day then?
Oh, my mom there was no cooking at the house on Mother's Day. It was like, you better take me somewhere nice. I want to go to the buffet. I want to go to the brunch buffet at the Ritz-Carlton. Okay, Mom.
I think next year we're going to have Dale's mom as well.
She will never come up here. She's one of those people who will always stand in the back and be like,
And so this is it.
And this is the plate, guys.
We get a shot of this.
So, I mean, it's...
Most of you have already been seeing it in front of you already.
For
but
me,
this
it's
is the
about,
finished
yeah,
dish.
thank you. It's about under-promising and over-delivering. I think it looks like just a plate of food, and then when you get into it, it's really kind of just rich and complex. Thank you.
Beautifully done. Thank you. I love it. Maybe I can take 3 questions from the audience.
Sure.
Would that be okay?
Sure,
so I'm going to come over this side. I got an arm up for a question for Dale, if you have one. Don't be shy. Okay, fine. Over here. Any questions for Dale? Because I have a bunch. I'm going to hog it if you guys don't. I know. Yes, may I have a question from back here? Table 33. Got to shout it. What
My
is
drink
your
of
drink
choice?
of choice?
Oh, tonight's tequila on the rocks, but I go in and out of phases. And in the summertime, it's vodka, and wintertime, it's bourbon. But right now, I've been on a tequila kick, but it's typically my drink of choice.
Yes, Uncle Bob Santos has a question.
Is the shrimp paste bagoong?
This is a different.
Repeat the question.
It's the shrimp paste bagoong. It should be, but it's not. And there's a lot of Filipinos in that kitchen. I don't know why they didn't get me some bagoong, but it's a Thai or a Vietnamese brand of shrimp paste, which is fine, but definitely was looking for some bagoong.
I have a question.
Nothing wrong with that.
Last
Nothing
question.
wrong with it. I'm just saying, some Filipinos back there. I'm like, yo, guys, where's the bagoong?
Table 29, I have one last question here.
How do we what? I'm sorry? We don't. She leaves. You got to go now. I'm going to cook, and you're going to go now, because I'm not going to hear the criticism. I hear it enough from everybody else that I don't need to hear from you. So when she's done, she leaves, and then I cook, because we realize that we're basically the same person, and that two personalities of our kind cannot handle in the kitchen. And there was especially one moment where I was making siopao for some of her friends. I was making basically steam buns for a bunch of her friends, and she criticized. I just said, okay, that's cool. Took it all, threw it away, cleaned up the entire kitchen, said, it's all on you. I'm done. We're not doing this anymore. I'm not working with you anymore. So we have a very good working relationship. There is none.
But it's a lot of
She
love.
leaves and I work, or she works and I leave.
There's a lot of love.
Yeah,
though.
but I love her to death.
Love her to
I
death.
love my mother.
Okay, so I have a question. Who
Sure.
from the crew of Top Chef do you keep in touch with still?
I actually just took some emails from Antonia. Yeah. I took some emails from her. She wanted to know how to make ramen, and I was like, here you go. Click, paste, ramen recipe. Richard Blaze, good. He's a buddy of mine. Yeah, give it up for Blaze. Won last season. Mikey Isabella, who came in second last season, really good friend of mine. That crazy kid Angelo. Good guy. Good guy. Wears a lot of skinny jeans, but he's a really nice dude.
So again, let us know what's next for you, Dale.
What's next for me is just really concentrating on Talde, my namesake restaurant. It's my first restaurant in Park Slope, Brooklyn, 369 7th Avenue. If you guys are ever in Park Slope, Brooklyn, come out and see us. We're doing Asian American food. Definitely, a lot of kind of the signature dishes that we're kind of getting billed for right now are my bacon and crispy oyster pad thai, my Korean fried chicken with autumn pears and mint and lime, and I'm doing longanisa sliders and ensamada French toast for brunch. So come on by. Hopefully, I can show you a little bit what we're all about.
Oh, I'm so there. You're going to hang around a little bit, right? Because
I'm here all night.
Yeah, you're here to help us with the secret ingredient raffle.
Yep.
This is your life now. Your secret ingredient raffle for
Yes.
tonight, yes. And then afterward, you'll be having a meet and greet outside where you'll be signing autographs, taking photos.
Sure.
For those of you who have not had an opportunity to meet with Dale. Dale Talde, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.